Inside an agonizing middle-aged house in northern Britain, a gathering of reestablishers are working diligently resurrecting the disregarded structure. In any case, when they strip off layers of mortar, something unimaginable is concealed underneath. Furthermore, as they investigate the complex markings, they understand that they've coincidentally found what they'll proceed to portray as a truly epic revelation. Somewhere inside an old lodge, specialists found a guide chamber canvassed in peculiar markings. But before we get started, if you're enjoying this video, show us some love by subscribing. It's the best way to support us and never miss out. Let's get started. For quite a long time, Calverley Old Lobby has been a premonition presence in the Yorkshire town of Calverley. In an unexceptional chamber on the Habit's popular narrative, the group found hidden from as far as possible back in Tudor times. Furthermore, what might it at any point educate us concerning individuals who once lived here completing dull deeds that actually resound many years down the line? Behind the creepy veneer of Calverley Old opening, a few surprising insights are ready to be revealed. The beginnings of the way are remembered to trace all the way back to the 1200 years, when the Scott family relocated to Calverley, nearly 10 miles northwest of Leeds. Ultimately, they changed their name to that of the town, solidifying an association that had kept going for very nearly 600 years. In any case, over the long haul, the family's status developed for certain individuals, becoming justices and even knights, in turn their fortune likewise improved, permitting them to extend their once unassuming home into a fabulous house. Then, exactly 80 years after the fact, an especially strict individual from the Calverley family redesigned the incredible corridor and built a church connecting the house. What's more, when one mid-16th century heir required space for his 17 posterity, the construction was additionally ventured into a rambling home. For quite a bit of Calverley Old corridor's history, yet towards the start of the 1700 years, things took an evil turn. Also, for a long time a while later, the way and its occupants attempted to rise up out of the foreboding shadow that had settled over the shopping center. At last, in the 1800 years, the Cavalleys left their Yorkshire estate for good. At that point, the top of the family had proactively deserted their genealogical home, settling rather in another house Addish Old exactly 3 miles away. And when the old entire was purchased by new proprietors during 1754, the Cavaliers association with the structure was at last cut off. Under the responsibility for Thornhill family Calverley, Old Lobby was separated into a few properties, its corridors and chambers changed into cabins and shops. Inside the previous estate, however, time generally stopped. Truth be told, even as the hundreds of years passed, the houses held large numbers of the first elements of the notable corridor. Furthermore, today, the structure's a peculiar mixed bag of 20th century plan and Middle Age engineering that is practically one of a kind in all of Britain. In 1981, Calverley Old Lobby was bought by the Milestone Trust, a preservation good cause that attempts to protect notable structures by transforming them into country estates. In any case, the remainder of the structure stood void for a long time as its new proprietors thought over how to foster it. But trusts Carroll and Stanford made sense of in an authority explanation. Lifetine and C's in a portion of the bungalows likewise kept further redesigns from occurring. However, the Lifetine and C's had got done, and the Milestone Trust started to take a gander at ways of saving and re-establish the whole structure. Expecting to find a planner with an imaginative way to deal with this uncommon venture, authorities reported a global challenge, and at last they chose a plan by Cowper Griffith, a firm situated in Cambridge, Britain. The CO, as per the Milestone, believes site, the highlight of the upgrade will be another excursion property, melding the protection of middle-age texture with contemporary plan. In many spots, unique elements, for example, mullioned windows and 14th century chimneys, will stay, while thoughtful fixes will make an agreeable present-day space. For instance, engineers intend to eliminate the allotments that once isolated the room into cabins, re-establishing it to its previous greatness. The principal story will be adjusted into a lounge room, complete with bar roofs, and the affectionately re-established hearth. Critically, the first plan additionally contained plans to thump through an opening into the adjoining parlor block where one of the property's rooms will be found. Furthermore, it was in this honest room, as opposed to the fantastic environmental elements of the extraordinary corridor, that the Habit's staggering guide secret was at long last found. With these plans set up, rebuilding work at Calverley Old Corridor started. Afterward, up in the top of the house, laborers coincidentally found various bizarre antiquities reserved inside the overhang. This multitude of disclosures, however, could not hope to compare to what the group found secret inside the parlor block, most likely developed at some point in the 1600 years. This segment of the estate misses the mark on high roofs and immense chimneys that knock some people's socks off in different pieces of the property, and on a superficial level at any rate, it shows up indistinguishable to endless different bungalows that litter England today. Truth be told, the parlor block of Calverley Old Lobby could have gone ignored out and out if not for a few routine fixes. There on the uncovered pillars were various markings that specialists couldn't distinguish from the outset. Obviously, there had been various alterations made to the house throughout the long term, including mortar work that was introduced during the 1800s. Later, during the 1930s, a cutting-edge chimney was added, and afterward during the 1970s, the walls were hounded with a gilding shade of peach paint. However, these markings didn't seem to be the ordinary transformations that you could track down inside a centuries-old home. What's more, when they took off segments of the mortar in the second-story room, bits of a staggering wall painting were uncovered. Addressing an epic gatekeeper in November 2021, Key called it the disclosure. Key, you made sense of in the explanation here, a head there, a boundary here, a chevron there, a petal. However, it was obvious to them that they were checking out at a canvas from way back to the Tudor period. Also, in no time, the full size of the wonderful disclosure was uncovered. 2 days were assigned to the protection group nearby to eliminate the later mortar by and large and perceive how much stayed underneath. Key proceeded. I halted in on the morning of day 2, anticipating that they should have just barely started. The mortar had gone in there on every one of the 3 walls. Before me was a disclosure. Key added, as yet faltering from the revelation. As per Stanford, wall artworks were generally normal among well-to-do homes during the Tudor timeframe. In any case, something on the size of the Calverley Old Corridor fresco is a lot more uncommon. Key expressed. Never in my own 27 years of working in memorable structures have I at any point saw a disclosure like this. Indeed, little grabs of enhancing painting on more than one occasion. Key proceeded. However, a whole painted chamber totally lost a memory, a time machine to the age of the Reconstruction and the Virgin Sovereign. It is very thrilling, Stanford added. And it wasn't simply the size of the work of art that left the specialists speechless. As per Stanford, the Calverley Old Lobby canvases are in a style known as unusual, making them undeniably more complicated than most of other Tudor relics. What the man had found, it turned out, were the remaining parts of the Domus Aurea, a terrific house built by Sovereign Nero in the 1st century promotion, once trickling in quite a while in marble. The extraordinary castle had been lost for over 1,000 years. On the walls of the Domus Aurea were various Roman frescoes, similar to nothing that individuals of Renaissance Europe had seen previously. Also, throughout the long term, endless specialists, including Michelangelo and Raphael, visited the craftsmanships by diving on snags into the remains. At last, students of history accept the plans advanced toward the Netherlands and Germany, where they enlivened gem dealers, goldsmiths, and craftsmen. Be that as it may, how could they go the whole way to Calverley Old Lobby in Yorkshire in such a generally short space of time? All things considered, specialists accepted that the wall works of art could date from as soon as 1514. Specialists realized the Troman enlivened works of art were famous in England during the rule of Henry VIII, and a few models dating to the 1520s have been found. What's more, despite the fact that development on Calverley Old Lobby's parlor block started in 1514, the wall campuses probably won't have been added until a very short time later. In any case, specialists are sure that the fine art's an amazingly early illustration of unusual Tudor plan, yet who precisely paid for the production of the painted chamber? As indicated by Stanford, William Calverley, the period who once extended the entire to oblige as many children, is the most probable up-and-comer. Whoever it was, they positively had an eye for detail. As per reports, the wall painting has been fastidiously intended to zigzag all around the structure's lumber outlines. Somewhere else, a frieze of pomegranates might have been painted to pay tribute to Catherine of Aragon, Henry VI's most memorable spouse, who involved the natural product as her image, quite possibly of history's most popular disdained lady. As per John Ingram's 1897 book, The Spooky Homes and Family Customs of Incredible England, the wall canvases were as yet noticeable in 1605, during the most obscure time of the habit's elast, and they would have borne witness when Walter Calverley, supposedly headed to franticness by obligation, killed his 2 children. Right up till now, there are some who accept that the apparition of Walter Calverley actually tormented his previous home. Thanks for watching. If you don't want to miss out on any of our upcoming videos, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. It's the best way to stay in the loop.